Hmm. Okay. Can we start, Prof? Or we need to wait? Maybe we wait for another 3 minutes. 9:05. Okay. Start, ya. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Honorable Speaker, Professor Dato Dr. Mohamad Sahari Nordin, Honorable Guest, Professor Dr. Mira Kartiwi, the Director of CPD, my respected colleagues, Associate Professor, Professors, Doctors, Brothers and Sisters. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To get more barakah, let us begin our session today with the recitation of Kitab Al-Fatihah. Alhamdulillah. Ahlan wa sahlan to the training of developing assessment plan. We are very lucky, we are very fortunate today to have our very busy speaker, expert, Professor Dato Dr. Mohamad Sahari. Yeah. So before we begin, I wish to say a few words on this training. So we need to map this training to any of the 7 mission statements. Here are the 7 mission statements that we have in IIUM. And this training can be mapped to the 4th mission statement, which is to nurture the quality of holistic excellence, which is imbued with Islamic moral, spiritual values in the process of learning, teaching, research, consultancy, publication, administration, and student life. So in this assessment series, there will be 5 assessments altogether. Prof. Mira and also Prof. Sahari will brief on later what are the requirements, what are all other things. But I just want to highlight on the title and the speakers and the platform, and the dates of the future trainings. So this is the first training, which is today by Professor Dato Mohamad Sahari Nordin. The next one will be on creating summative tests by Professor Dr. Ainul Mazia on 18 May after Raya. Yeah. This will be done by hybrid from Kuantan. Inshallah, we'll be going to Kuantan on 18. And then we will have the third one, developing alternative assessment tool by Professor Dr. Nurlida Abu Qasim on 26 May. This will be here, hybrid from Gombak. And then assessing non-cognitive learning by creating by Associate Professor Dr. Zainuddin. This will be on 9 June. Also from Kuantan, we'll be going to Kuantan again. And the last one in the series will be monitoring and promoting classroom participation. The speaker will be Associate Professor Dr. Johari, and this will be on 23rd of June and hybrid, inshallah, from here, Gombak. So I hope you can be present to all of this assessment series, inshallah. So some of the gentle reminders, kindly register your attendance at I-attend and then fill up our evaluation form at the end of the training, and we will prepare a platform, iTalim platform, for you to see all the materials and whatnot. So welcome to the training. Now I wish to invite Professor Dr. Mira Katiwi to say her welcoming remark. Tafadhali, ya akhti.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Wira. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning, everyone. So thank you very much. And I would like to greet and welcome Prof. Dato Sahari Nordin. Thank you so much, Prof, for facilitating the sessions, and the important people behind and in front of the scene, which is Dr. Wira and Sister Nurul, which currently arranging for this training. As highlighted by Dr. Wira earlier, that it will be a series of training. So I'm very sure there's a lot on her plate, but she's very passionate, and alhamdulillah, Prof. Sahari and his team from IMAT is also very passionate with making sure that this training is so meaningful for all of us. So I'm truly grateful. I'm truly thankful for all the hard work, and I couldn't thank enough actually, because I know the preparations for today's training as well as the series of training that we're going to do throughout these few months will be a lot. But alhamdulillah, looking at the enthusiasm from all friends, as well, especially all colleagues, it really heartwarming, and we couldn't thank everyone enough for all your participations. And in fact, during our roadshow through from kuliah to kuliah, we are hearing so many good and good feedback on this training. So we really hope this is very useful. So again, I would like to thank Prof. Sahari for facilitating the session today. I'm very sure assessment is very important for all of us. as an educators, as a teacher, in making sure that the quality of our teaching and the whole journey basically for teaching and learning activities is actually well guided. And we also not only looking at assessment as assessment for learning or assessment of learning, but we really want to emphasize also in the future that we can leverage and we can make it more meaningful for the assessment as learning. Okay, so I'm very sure this series of topics that Dr. Wira mentioned just now on the 5 topics, 5 titles from developing planning, assessment planning, creating summative assessment, developing alternative assessment, and so on and so forth. We have 5 topics in the series. Hopefully that really makes a impactful, eye-opening sessions for all of us to make sure that our assessment is not only assessment for learning, but also as learning and of learning. So in this case, we will be having a lot more meaningful conversations and productive conversations that will shift our paradigms in how we assess the students. And in the research, in the recent research project that we actually conducted at national level, it's very interesting to see the students' feedback on how the course that is really resonates to them the most is the course that not only able to open their minds in terms of topics that what are the topics to be learned, but also how the lecturers, how the teachers really make use the assessment as a tools to actually help them improve. And when the students are able to say the word improve, I think that really, really meaningful. The students really knows that how they are when they started the course is totally a different person when they completed the score. And when they completed the course, when they completed the course with the score. So the score may be one thing that they get from the end of the course, but the improvement itself, for me, it's just so inspiring to hear that from the students. So again, I really, really thank all of the facilitators. I know today we have Prof. Sahari, but we will soon have all of the professors from Kuliah of Education. So I can thank all the facilitators enough, and I'm truly looking forward to. In today's sessions, I'm giving the welcoming remarks. On the same time, I'm learning with all of you. So we are all in the same place. We are all learning. So I'm looking forward that all of us will have fruitful sessions, productive sessions, and inspiring sessions on which we're going to learn how to strategically use assessment in our course. And as highlighted earlier, and also Dr. Wira have highlighted earlier, that this 5 course is actually part of the series that IMAT has as part of the certifications. So I'm very sure later on, Prof. Sahari can actually brief us on what are the remaining requirements that we have to fulfill in order for us to get that certifications. So that certifications is totally a game changer, that we are not only attending trainings, but we can actually be certified in terms of that we will able to conduct assessment and train the educators to also or help other educators to actually strategize their assessment. So this is as I said, the totally game changers, and I'm truly, truly thankful that Prof. Sahari have put so much effort in making sure this happen, not only for Kuliah of Education, but for all of us in the IIM community. So thank you so much, and again, thank you so much, Dr. Wira, for arranging the sessions, and Sister Nurul behind the scene, hiding behind the training CPD IIM account. But both of you are very, very. I couldn't thank all of you enough for arranging the sessions. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all participants, and hope we have a fruitful session today. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Thank you very much, Prof. Mira. So today we are going to see the first series of the assessment series. This is the collaboration with IMAT. So I wish to welcome Prof. Sahari to elaborate further on the collaboration and what is needed to get the certification. Tafadhal, ya Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Qala rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Brothers, sisters, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Wira, for having me in this, I think, very important to us, not only to IMED. I think it's important for us, all of us, to reflect our practice and to move ahead. Thank you, Prof. Mira, for putting it as one of your important agenda for the development of our colleagues, ourselves, and our students. Thanks for. I think without all of you, this thing will not be going because actually the university is very receptive and supportive since years ago. I'm not sure, but I think we were among the earlier universities that have a plan how to use this tool in order to help students and ourselves to check on our performance and our learning and students' learning, not only of learning, but also for learning. And the whole thing can be considered as what Prof. Mira correctly mentioned just now, assessment as learning. So it's important, without which I think we are doing the routines and maybe we get excellent outcomes by accident rather than by design. It's equally important to design things that we are doing. Alhamdulillah. And this particular program, this is a special program, right? It is not part of the BTMC. One of the aims, apart from improving or sharing our experience, one of the objectives of this training is to certify our colleagues who fulfill the requirements. And as the president used to alert us, we need to provide license to ourselves under the umbrella of IIUM to help about 400,000 to 500,000 educators out there. Okay, it's not just us, but we need to help teachers and of course the students, in particular the students of Islamic schools and their teachers there, to make a difference in their profession, in student learning finally. So inshallah we'll be having the first council of assessment for Islamic education. Inshallah, make dua, we'll get it in June, and we are going to promote those who are certified to be our trainers, to train teachers as well as teachers master trainers, to train what I've said just now, about 400,000 to 500,000 teachers out there. We've been following the school because I in particular have grandchildren in primary school, secondary school, and I know that the teachers are having, and two students are having problem with assessment, and that not really helping them to learn effectively, because just like us, teachers, they are not trained in using assessment to help their teaching and to help students to learn. We were hardly been trained. We can check the literature and find that most program, teachers education program, even though they are supposed to be teachers, only 3 credit out of a total of 120 credit being assigned to assessment. Our teachers, they only have 3 credit hour of assessment contents, but they are spending more than 60% of their time doing assessment. So that's the irony. So about I think more than 10 years ago, in 2006, we have been thinking about this, and the university, as I mentioned just now, very supportive, and they approved the policy, assessment policy, at least for IUM, and they even encouraged us to write a handbook on that. In 2008, was published by IUM Press. Maybe for some reason, after having that plan, we put it aside. The university focused more on getting more publication, more research. So we put the important component of teaching on the shelf for a while. But of late, it's becoming more obvious now, more salient for us to have a proper action on this important thing. I think with our current CPD director, even the last CPD director, who an expert in assessment, this seems to be moving in what we've been talking about 2006, now 2020, how many years ago? More than 15 years ago. Okay, so that's the preamble. Prof. Sahimi, I'm sorry, I don't know why you are here, Prof. Sahimi. I get very nervous when I see your name there. I think he's the one who should be carrying the flag now, no longer the young man like me. he's the one who should be giving us new ideas, especially with this technology thing. All right, and that's the first point, the importance of us having this program. So thank you, CPD, Prof. Mira, Dr. Wira, and your friend for having this session. And there are going to be a series of 5 workshops, right, as you shown just now, Dr. Wira. And actually, these 5 sessions taken together is stated as one of the main standards, professional standards of assessment for educators. This is a well-documented standard that is educators, especially lecturers and instructors at institutions of higher education, should be able to develop, to create, to construct classroom assessment tools and use them appropriately for student learning. Okay, something that is not exactly the phrase, but it sounds as something. The meaning is something to that effect. That is, the whole set of workshop that we are going to have, or you intend to plan, is considered as fulfilling basic standard for professional educators. So we are talking about we don't have professionalism. So this is one of the things that we learn. Okay? It's our learning. It's assessment as learning, that we have to fulfill the standard in order to reach higher level of professionalism. And because of that, Alhamdulillah, with the blessing of the kuliah in which I met, IMET stand for IIUM, Center for Measurement, Evaluation and Testing, has been discussing with several authorities at a university level, in particular the KCA and Deputy Rectors, Academic and Internationalization, and we have been thinking, and it's sort of agreed in principle to certify, to give certificates for those who have fulfilled the requirement of this workshop series. May I share some information on that, Dr. Wira? Can I share my slide?
Can.
Okay, let me have that. Okay, the name of the certificate is Certificate of Competency in Classroom
Okay.
Classroom Assessment. Okay, and with the given the approval or endorsement of the Board of Governors of the IIUM, we can use this, inshallah, to be a trainer. So this is going to be an IIUM endorsed certificate. IMED is the one that issue the certificate, and the holder of the certificate will be an associate member of MPPI, the one that has been approved by MPPI stand for Majlis Pentaksiran, okay, assessment, Majlis Pentaksiran Pendidikan Islam, or Pendidik Islam, whichever way you want to term it. And in English, it is the Council for Assessment of Islamic Education. I cannot remember exactly. Dr. Zainuddin was the one who coined the phrase for this certificate. And it's the role of IMED to plan how to promote this the certified faculty member to go beyond your department, your respective department or kuliah. That is to really lead these assessment enhancements of assessment skills among educators, regardless of institution. Maybe even crossing the political border or the go beyond Malaysia, inshallah. So that's why we need the BOG endorsement. Okay. However, there are three basic but challenging requirements for one to be certified in competency in classroom assessment. If you just participate in all the 5 workshops, then the lecturer will be awarded with a certificate of attendance. I think CPD is more than happy to award that certificate. Am I right, Prof. Vera? Yes.
Yes.
No, I'm confused. Mira and Vera.
Even us confused, Prof. No.
Yeah, okay. And then we have these 3 requirements, which can be not necessarily completed during or immediately at the end of the programs, the 5 series workshop. Maybe it takes your time, no problem. So long we have the evidence that all these things are completed. Number one, we expect a trainer to be able to organize and facilitate site-based, maybe even at your kuliah or even your a course that you lead, site-based training on assessment. Even maybe with just a small number of other lecturers, not necessarily lecturers, even non-academic staff, but the training is on the management maybe of assessment, apart from the content and the skills. Okay, that's one thing. If we have that evidence, meaning that we have fulfilled one of the requirements. The second one, not necessarily in that order, prepare an operational policy or procedure on classroom assessment, maybe even at just the department level. How to go about doing online assessment, high-stake final exam. If there's a policy that you wish you can work with other person, but your name is there, then we consider that you fulfill the second requirement. It can be a simple procedure, but it makes the assessment useful. And we need the evidence so we can compile things that come out from our colleagues here, and we can share that with others, inshallah. And the third one is a bit more challenging. The third one, the final one, conduct and share action. Maybe the word research is scary there. Maybe a reflection paper. Okay, not necessarily something that you must publish in a reputable journal. Not necessarily that, but something about the assessment that you've been doing. Okay, of course, it has to be. We are yet to define the criteria, and when I use the term share the paper, it is one of the ways to promote you as a certified trainer. So I meant, inshallah, we'll be organizing a series of webinars, maybe, or even face-to-face seminar focusing on this research or reflection paper that come from our colleagues here. So these are the three things that need to be completed for us to be certified as a competent classroom assessor. Okay, just reflect on that. I hope you look at this thing positively. It's not giving you additional work, but it's try to telling people that we have trainers who can help school and teachers in the conduct of assessment. Okay, maybe I pause here for a while in case there are questions or even suggestion. These requirements are not scripted on stone, on rock. We can always change it because we have discussed and it has been approved in principle, but we are yet to submit the paper for this certificate, which maybe will just reach the KCA level and get the approval of KCA on behalf of the university. Wallahu alam. So, Dr. Wira, that's the overview of the certification. I'm not sure whether I made it clear to you or not.
Yes, it's clear. I hope it's clear to the rest of the participants as well. Please ask, if you have any questions. If you're not clear, but we will give the list of the requirement of certification at the end. Probably we will share in the iTa'lim itself, insyaAllah.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay. Can I be heard? Kan? Dah dengar kan?
Yeah, I think we have questions from Dr. Muni. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Prof. Sahari, very much for the introduction, and also CPD for organizing this. I just would like to ask I'm reflecting my own objective actually. When I see this announcement on the class on assessment, I'm kind of excited because I wanted to learn more about it. I think more on improving my own practice in the class. So on the third item, which Prof mentioned, conduct and share action research reflection paper on assessment, can we use our own course, Prof, on this one?
Definitely, yes. That's what we are looking for. We want to learn from our participant. That's the because then we can so definitely we have to because action research is something about our practice. So your practice will be based on the course that you are teaching. So I think we welcome that idea.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
there is no more question, perhaps Prof. Sahari can start with the, or you want to wait? Oh. If there is no more question, probably Prof. Sahari, you can start with the training.
Inshallah. So I have to continue now. Let me see where to continue. Okay. Okay. Course assessment plan. Prof. Suhaimi, again, when I look at this topic and I look at you, I know you're going to suffer if you continuously sit in this, because I've been sharing this with you and others so many times before. So I think Prof. Mira, boleh ada exemption ke kalau those who have attended this module has been shared since 2021 with many groups. Maybe as time passes by, I will just add one or two things. As a teacher, maybe I use a bit of different example, but basically the essence will be there, what to be planned. So kalau boleh ada exemption, anggap orang yang dah participated dulu, termasuk including the one that we had at the banquet hall. What was that? Is on audit, assessment audit. Okay, still the same thing the participant have. So I think there's nothing new, nothing much which can be considered as new today. However, let me proceed unless you please stop me if you want to ask something.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam. Ya, ada Prof.
Okay.
Malu saya ni.
This is another certificate, Prof. Like license. The one that attended in banquet without license.
Okay. Yang tu benda yang sama. So we consider as it's one of the component of the standard.
Okay.
Standard for professional assessment, standard of assessment professional.
Okay.
Which include this. Ini satu daripada the components. Yang lagi tu memang tak ada. The next four topics tak ada. So I'm hoping everybody will leave so I can leave also this session.
we have done audit also, Prof.
Saya dengar you've been wonderful. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for your guidance, Prof.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for paying attention pada cakap-cakap orang tua. Okay, never mind. So can I proceed now? You have something else to add, Prof?
It's okay, good. So we have to say everything you thought you have a new thing, Prof.
Alright, Alhamdulillah. Okay, ini I've shown you, but basically as what our dear doctor just now asked, what are the expectation of our session here today? Basically, to discuss or to reflect on the alignment practice. Maybe I'll try to share what is not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you that about theories. I'm going to share with you my experience, my personal experience, which is far from perfect, but we can reflect on that, and maybe you can improve on what I have practiced before. That is how I align the assessment method with course learning outcome, because course learning outcome is termed as the heart of the whole enterprise of teaching and learning. So we have to make sure our assessment method really mesh or having good fit with the learning outcomes. Okay, and then just an overview of the planning, which include elements of designing or describing the task and the scoring rubric. When we talk about things like assignment, projects, studio work, and all those things, even field work, clinical kind of assessment, all these high stakes require the description of the task and the scoring rubric. High stake here simply means the carry marks for that assignment or project is at least 30%. If less than that, then we don't really consider too seriously about having task description and scoring rubric. But those that carries more than 30%, we have to pay serious attention on that. And again, the use of table of test specification, or maybe midterm if it carries more than 30% of the final grade, and of course the final exam. And this one here is the last one. Draft and document the assessment plan for your course is in keeping with the new development in which we may we may prepare the cost plan, okay, in order to show changes that we are making for a particular semester to our course. So this can help in the documentation when we have the plan for assessment. That plan will go into the cost plan, inshallah. Okay, so that's the overview. Before that, let's just go to the practice right away. I'd like to share another screen. I'm stopping sharing this. Okay, suppose I'm in the process of planning a midterm exam which carries more than 30% of the final grade. Let me how to share this now. Okay, share screen. Okay, let's say in a few weeks' time, I'm going to conduct a midterm exam. Maybe can you see my screen, brothers and sisters?
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Okay, let's say this is a midterm exam. Actually, I don't have midterm for all the courses that I'm teaching, but if just assume that I'm having that, maybe carries 30% of the final grade. Okay, and these are the learning outcomes. Okay, I believe you have memorized your learning outcome. I don't, so I have to put it in. I cannot memorize it, so I put in writing. 3 learning outcomes for the course that I'm teaching right now. Number 1, demonstrate knowledge and understanding. These are the important keywords that we have to consider: knowledge, understanding. Okay, these 2 words reflects what students should be able to do. Okay, what we expect them to demonstrate, what we expect them to master. Okay, this what we call the performance of learning, and Bloom's use the term performance standard. Okay? So that's a very important component of learning outcomes. There must be 2 standards. The first one that we have seen just now, knowledge and understanding, is performance standard. These 2. Okay, there are other performance standards. We'll look at it in a short while. And then we have this element, knowledge and understanding of what? Basic philosophy, concepts, and knowledge of quantitative research methods. These are the contents to be tested, or the contents to be learned, therefore need to be tested. So this is another standard, the content standard. So knowing these 2, and knowing the contents to be tested and at what level of performance, clearly it's just the level of knowledge and understanding. We can now sort of comfortable in in deciding how to align the tools that we are using and the level of performance. Okay, so this knowledge and understanding according to Bloom, according to Bloom's, this is the lowest level of cognitive learning. That is knowing what and comprehension. Okay, knowledge and comprehension, the first two levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So that's what we have to understand when we want to plan. We have to think what are the contents and what are the performance level for all the learning outcomes that that we want to test, especially maybe the final exam. Let's have a look at the second one. The same thing can be applied. The same analysis can be done on the statement of learning outcome. Apply concepts and skill of quantitative research, including problem statement, review of literature, sampling, and instrumentation. Okay, there must be two standards. If we don't have these two elements in our learning outcome, then the learning outcome, the statement of learning outcome is faulty. I mean, it need to be improved. Okay, but we cannot improve it while doing assessment. We cannot improve the statement of learning outcome while we are writing the course plan. Okay, we can only do that when we revise our course outline to be approved by the Senate. So at this level, we just make sure that we understand what's being stated or what we have been inherited from previous course instructor. So here, the keyword or the performance standard is apply. Okay, apply. Application. That's the third level, if I'm not mistaken, the third level of Bloom's taxonomy. Concept and skill of quantitative research, including, these are very specific now, problem statement, these are the contents, problem statement, review of literature, sampling, and instrument. Okay, this, if we take another approach, not by Bloom, but maybe by Miller's professional competency taxonomy, or even Gagne, the condition for learning approaches, then we'll know that this may cover two levels. Apply can be covered at two levels. Ability to or knowing how, that's application two, according to Gagne, or ability to really do it, that's apply. Okay, ability to transfer the concept and skill from textbook content to real work, that's application. And the content standard, problem statement, review of literature, sampling, instrumentation. So this must be tested. And finally, prepare research proposal or report of an acceptable standard. The performance standard will be prepare something. That's the performance standard. And the content, research proposal or research report. So that's the performance that we have to make sure students learn and we test them. Once we have analyzed this, then come to the alignment process. Okay, maybe first it works at two levels after this. One is try to list the possible tools. Okay, the possible tools. Or as I have stated earlier, in this case, in my case now, final midterm exam. So the tools will be basically will involve midterm exam. Okay, midterm exam. But the question is, which skills or which learning outcomes am I going to test? Is it just the first learning outcome for the midterm, or not just number one, but also number two? Of course, Number 3 maybe later, because it's something that student needs to do for quite some time, maybe at the end of the semester. But the first 2 maybe can be tested in the midterm exam. Okay, so what are the most feasible tool to test, to examine mastery of knowledge and understanding? I think most of us will agree that the simplest tool will be to give an exam. Okay, a test. Or paper and pencil kind of thing. Okay, a kind of assessment. So that's how we do once we understand our learning outcome, is to look at the learning outcome and identify the tools. Maybe more than one tools for each learning outcome. Look at number 2. If we decide to test this, okay, if we follow the Bloom's taxonomy, then students have to show it. Students have to demonstrate the ability to apply. So maybe it can be something like a project or a take-home exam. Okay, or run data analysis. Something. So just list down all these things, and then let me try to get this. All right. Okay, I just list very limited number of tools here because of the time constraint. So that's the first step in trying to align. Okay. However, if we are planning for the whole year, not just for the midterm exam, then we can look at the one as well. Prepare a research proposal. What is the best tool? Okay, any idea? What is the best instrument to measure student ability to prepare research proposal or a mini research report? What's the best way to examine students' performance on this?
Ask them to write the research proposal itself.
Exactly. Okay. Definitely because of the word prepare, they have to write. They have to prepare. So this is what we have to do for each learning outcome. Identify the most effective or and practical tools. Okay, it can be more than one tool for each learning outcome. Remind ourselves that it doesn't have to be just an exam. It can be many things, depending on the subject that we are teaching. Okay, in the whole year planning, we have to look at all these things together. Once we have listed the tool for each learning outcome, then try to reflect and get the what I call here big picture. The big picture. Is there any particular tool that we have listed or yet to be thought of that can cover all the other tools?
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam.
If I may ask, for
Yes.
the concerning outcome number 3, because I'm
Okay.
trapped with the term prepare,
Okay.
can one of the tool be like a presentation?
That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. That now we have to think in that manner. What can a prepare include presentation? Of course, if we design this, if we interpret prepare includes student presentation, then is one of the tool that we can now add here. or you can even revise in the course learning outcome later on for Senate approval, prepare and present to make it clearer. Right now it's not clear, it's just prepare, but we can still assume that include presentation. This is your professional judgment that comes into play now. Okay, they prepare acceptable for a proposal to be acceptable. They have to present. So the word prepare may cover present. Did I answer you? Are you not? Are you in agreement with that?
Yes, Prof. Yes,
Okay.
Prof. Thank you, Prof.
So this is what we have to do when we are the so-called alignment or aligning learning assessment to learning outcomes. List the two. The next one will be get the big picture, so that we don't really, number one, overburden student with too many assignments or too many exams. Okay, that's number one. And number two, we can cover one project. This is what Dr. asked me just now. What you asked me, can we cover many tools to measure different learning outcomes with just a proposal? Okay, if the big picture is a proposal, then we can have these two. Let me hear. These two is prepare research proposal, which may cover many things that we have here. Many things, not all. Let me put border so that you can see. If we get the picture, by writing research proposals, students will be able to apply concept, demonstrate the application of concept related to the contents. Okay, by preparing research proposal, they will be able to present. Or in my case, right now I'm focusing more on mini research. They will be able to really conduct data collection, writing research report, even a summary of review of literature, condensation of the literature, sampling, instrumentation, even analysis, all can be covered in this, even though we can have or we can assign marks to different components of the research proposal. For instance, data analysis, if they can demonstrate that they are able to produce the results of cranking the data, then maybe 10% out of the total percentage for research proposal, out of the total marks for research proposal. Okay, and how about the first one? Knowledge and skill. Again, to me, the best thing is just to give a series of quizzes or tests. That's to me. Maybe you have a different opinion. Maybe you think that research proposal may also include knowledge and understanding of the big concept. So meaning that we have to identify the tools, and a bigger tool or a project that cover all the tools to measure the different learning outcomes. So this one thing that we may consider when we plan. Okay, when we plan, I think in my department, educational psychology, we are still in the stage of about to submit our course plan. So this can be considered, and we can make change. We can include our thinking about the alignment. That will reduce student being overburdened with so many tasks, so many assessments into one project that covers many things. That's one strong point of having just one big project covering many performance standard and content standard. That is reduction of the number of unrelated tasks That's been happening. Students have to read different things. They have to understand different, master different skill to complete the different tasks. However, if all these things can come within a framework of a research proposal on a particular topic, then the amount of time they spend trying to learn many things, trying to read many different theories will be reduced. Still, they master the content standard and the performance standard that we set in our course outline. And the test, because we have to test the knowledge and understanding, we can have that either midterm or even final exam. Okay, so here we can have mid-semester exam or okay, that's the first point that I want to emphasize today, because I observe that when we talk about alignment, maybe we have to also understand the details. That is, the assignment shouldn't overburden the student. That's number one. The assignment will cover all the learning outcomes. If it cannot cover with one assignment or one project, then we may be in a situation imposing too many things to students. And number three, we can now decide the assignment to be something that is meaningful, useful, and something that student and ourselves can be proud of. Okay, I've shared this with Dr. Wira. I've been given the luxury of teaching an undergraduate student about 2 semesters ago. The semester before last semester. An undergraduate student, what she termed herself as a kampung girl, teaching in a school that school is the one that will be affected by flood every year. Every year, the water raise up to the 2nd level, tingkat 2 of the school almost every year in Jerantut, Pahang. Okay, I didn't expect, but that's an undergraduate student, and one of the learning outcomes is the learning outcome: prepare a research proposal or a report. But for the particular cohort, I wanted them to simply conduct a small research that can be complete the whole spectrum of research activities at a very low level, and she did that on her own, and submitted to me the research report. And even before that, I've encouraged everybody to just try your luck. Send your abstract. Sometime in the middle of the semester, send your abstract of your research, your objective of your research, and the method, and not the result yet. Send it to any teacher conference in Malaysia, and a few of them they did that, and this girl sent to an international conference in Kuala Lumpur on teacher education, on teaching and learning. Okay, she's in your specialization, Dr. Wira, counseling, and a few, I think 3 months ago, she sent me a WhatsApp message telling me that her paper, which she submitted to an international conference in Kuala Lumpur, has won the award of one of the 5 best research paper. Okay, a third year student, okay, submitting in the conference, participated by people like us, and she managed to get her paper, which is to me, just a simple paper to me. Okay, not really a theoretically profound exposition, and she managed to get that recognition. And it's a very simple study, Dr. Wira. It's just about students' perceptions towards counseling services in sekolah menengah agama Pulau Tawar Jerantut. Just that. Okay, about 100 students participated in that survey. And the way she presented her result also just the normal way, but knowledgeable people in the conference, the evaluators, things very useful, because she stated things like of 100 students, okay, only 30% indicated that the counseling services were useful to them. 30%. How about the other 70%? Not sure. Or disagree with that statement. So it is kind of mind-boggling. 7 out of 10 students don't feel that counseling service is useful to them. And government's been spending millions to train people like Prof. Wira, okay, to teach us. And still we have 7 out of 10 students in the kampung school don't find it useful. So something needs to be done. I think that's my belief is because of that. So and she and I think last 2 weeks she sent me another message telling me that her paper has been accepted for publication in a journal. Wow, I cannot never do that. Even now, I may take 1 year to complete a paper, I think. Okay, and she can do it. A kampung girl, as she claimed it. So it's something that she is excited about, and I'm very proud of her ability to showing that things that we didn't expect may come true if we put attention to the usefulness, the meaningfulness of the assignment. I learned this a few years back when I was, not a few years back, 30, 40 years ago, when I was teaching in a kampung school too. And a student of mine, I didn't teach him. He managed to submit a pantun to surat khabar utusan berita harian, and the whole school talk about it. Something that he and we proud of. From a kampung boy, managed to get his work published in a paper. That will really affect the way he or she, our student, learn later on. Okay, that will really make a difference in their life. Prof. Mira, that is assessment as learning. One of the indicators of assessment as learning. We learn while we are doing assessment. We learn while students evaluating, or students learn when they are evaluating their own work. So we have to think of that when we think about alignment of course learning outcome and assessment tasks that we are giving them. Of course, tests will be there all the time because we want to test. We want to know whether they understand, whether they recall the fundamental concept. But at the same time, something useful, something meaningful, something that can change the way they learn will be of equal importance. Okay, that's my first point.
Prof, can we take a question? I think Dr. Muni has been putting up her hand
Okay.
quite some time.
Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Murni. I cannot see your hand. Okay, please.
Tak apa, Prof. I think we are listening to you very closely. It's kind of very interesting. So, Prof, I really the example that you have mentioned really attract my attention. And then I have heard this I think a few times as well. I remember in one of the session, Prof. Suhaimi also highlighted that his student actually has been some of the work has been published in a surat khabar and also in some conference. So
Exactly.
my question is like this. I learned that there are some professors or lecturers putting in, for example, like a requirement saying that if your paper is published in certain conference, then only you get A. What is your take on that?
That's me. I've been propagating this since 2005. I think in a presentation at university level. Actually, that's the incomplete picture of what I've said. I mentioned I have given them two grading criteria. The conventional grading, in which you fulfill all the requirements without bothering about publication or whatever. There's a rubric for that. What's an A, what an A minus. Okay, that's one option. And the other option, if you decide to go beyond that, then I look at your progress in publication, in trying to get the work published. Once you send it to your abstract to a journal or a conference, then you'll get just that evidence of submission. You'll get I cannot remember now. I think a B plus. Okay, a B plus. Okay. But if you get a response from the organizer of the conference, then you with positive response, then you'll get an A minus because it's a postgraduate program. The lowest will be B, so B plus, A minus. And if they invite you to present your paper, you'll get an A. However, by the end of the semester, if there's nothing of that sort, or just halfway through, then I'll fall back on the first criteria. I'll study I'll examine your work based on the scoring rubric. So it's not that you must get your work submitted or accepted by conference only, then you get an A. No, it's not that. I think that's too much, because not all students, even ourselves, may not be able to do it. Okay, Dr. Murni?
Yes, Prof. Thank you. And also, I'm learning from this statement that you are saying that when we are planning for assessment in this particular case, right? So we have to be reasonable, and then we have to be flexible. Even in the beginning, when we said to. Okay, Prof, go ahead.
Okay, so the word that you use is the recent principle of assessment. That is, it should be flexible. Even we may give different tests to students in the same course. Okay, based on our judgment of their abilities, based on our judgment of what their needs, we can give that. That is flexibility now.
Okay, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you for asking that question. Yeah, I know some words may be misinterpreted, but that's not what I really did. I did not judge based on submission. So they have the option. If they don't have to decide, I just follow through their progress, and I'll decide. Always giving the benefit of doubt, always trying to see that they get the best from what they've been doing, so I can rely on either one. Without any submission, they still get an A.
Yes, Prof. I think I now I learned that you mentioned that some people misinterpret because I thought that in the beginning when I heard about it, like, you know, okay, we have said in the beginning of the class, you can get an A if your paper is accepted. So we kind of, you know, stick to that particular to that particular plan. But in fact that, you know, while we are doing the assessment, if we see the performance goes in certain way, you know, we also have to think about the future of the students. I would take this way. Was it okay, Prof?
Yeah, exactly. That's flexibility lah tu. The fourth golden rules of assessment must be valid, it must be reliable, it must be flexible, and it must be fair. These are the four principles of the conventional assessment. Ada orang lain apa ni question or you want to give me answer? I still have things that I don't understand, but this what I try to practice. Maybe I can further improve in certain ways. But so what I'm trying to say here is that for every in summary for this particular point, in summary, every learning outcomes need to be crystal clear to us in terms of the two standard, content standard, performance standard. Based on that, we decide the likely tools for each learning outcome, maybe more than one tool. And then we have now to look at the big picture and see tools that can come together under one project. Okay, the project should be meaningful. The project should be useful to students, and of course, if possible, it can be something that we can be proud of, and the student will be proud of. Change in the way they learn. So that's the big picture, and of course, in most courses, especially undergraduate courses, we cannot run away from testing their knowledge. So the test, not projects, the test is seems to be the needs of most undergraduate courses. So that's what I can summarize from the understanding of the idea aligning assessment to tools. Dr. Izzuddin, you want to share something? I'm sorry, Dr. Izzuddin, putus-putus sikit kan? Or is it just me?
We can't really hear you, Dr. Izzuddin.
Okay, I think if you can type, I think it will be better. Yes. Unfortunately, the voice is breaking out. Okay. But if I can just ask one question, Prof, just to get your clarifications, looking at the examples that you have here. So it means that we will have a lot of, it is so possible that a few assessment is basically like kind of intertwined between a few learning outcomes. So it doesn't mean like it doesn't have to be like what you have there. For example, course learning outcome one through exams, and then the next one is through take-home exam. So the big pictures, we can actually focus on the big picture first. Can we focus on the big picture first, like, and then we narrow down what are the tools that was suitable?
Yes, sure. It doesn't have to be in this order. Tools first, then big picture. It can. Naturally, if you have the big picture, it will be easier to identify the tools, so that the tools will fit into the big picture. Now the problem is that when we give, especially assignment, okay, when we talk about assignment, if we don't have that big picture, the relationship among assignment, we tend to incur damage and suffering to students' well-being by giving signal there are many assignments. Actually, if they are related, like preparing a research proposal, okay, they have to find a topic and they have to read. So the reading will be the same thing cut across other components of the assignment. Okay, writing the literature review, identifying and using the questionnaire, maybe analysis a bit different. So by giving something that encompass the different contents and skill, will put them at ease of having too many different things. Just like us, if we if we are given a task of teaching 5 sections of the same course, it will be much easier for many of us than having to teach 5 different courses, or 3, even just 3 different courses in one semester. Okay, but if the things are related, if there's a commonality among the tasks, okay, then it become a project that is something that we can tolerate, and we will not suffer that much.
Okay, Prof. Thank you.
Prof Mira, just to share with you, okay, since I think this is related to your area, your specialization. My colleague, I know that person very well, and I always talk about it, but without mentioning the name. A very ambitious lecturer, and very interesting, projects, assignment. But almost every week there's an assignment, assignment related to instructional technology, related to information technology. It takes time, and students are spend so much time on every assignment, maybe every other week. I cannot remember exactly. So at the end, more than 50% of their learning time spent on the course. It's interesting, but since the assignment are not planned accordingly, students been doing too much work given the credit hour. So that's one thing we have to consider also. It's okay to ask them to do things on weekly basis. They have something to do, but all these things have something in common, that they don't repeat the whole process of learning the concept, okay, and learning the skills, new concept every week. That will be torturing in terms, unless 15 hours credit given to that.
Okay, but does it exceed the student learning time, Prof? Because I think we are also expecting the students to sort of learn or equip themselves with revising, or so. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what we have to judge as the person, as the expert. We have to judge how much time they need to complete this. Okay, for especially for the average performing student. For high flyers, maybe we can challenge them with things, but for average student, maybe it's too much if we give them weekly assignment, each of which is very demanding. It's going to be, maybe we have to be reasonable with the amount of time they spend on our course, considering that they are taking other courses and doing other assignment as well every week.
Prof, just on a question on you said weekly assignment. Assuming that the assignment is in class and then it's for class discussion, it's not assessed assignment. So how is that considered? How is that considered as well? Because it is sort of like a homework that they need to come next week to discuss again. So it's like a weekly homework, but it's not assessed. So how does that relate to this as well in that sense?
Okay, that is a continuous assessment. Dr. Sahari will be focusing on this. That is the aim is to motivate students and to make sure they participate in classroom activities. According to research, this one I understand. Maybe I'm wrong. When we ask them to do something, and they are not being their work are not being recognized and rewarded, that will not motivate them to in this the example that you said just now. When we don't give grade or marks to their class participation, then maybe they are not that motivated. Maybe they prefer not to be really engaged in the class activities. Unless, okay, we have to think of this, unless the task, the things that they discuss is something really interesting to them, something they really have very, something close to their heart that they want to talk about it. So this is another dimension of psychology, okay, learning psychology that we have to learn. What kind of discussion that will motivate students? Again, the instructor being the expert in content knowledge may relate to the useful topics or challenges topic to be discussed. Again, the same idea that the topic must be something of interest to students, or something that we try to make it relevant to the students' interests. Prof. I don't know. I don't have answer to that, because my course, they have to be interested in research because they have to do research in order to get a master degree or doctoral degree. But in your case, maybe you have to more challenges then.
Prof, I would like to, is it me, Dr. Fatmir? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, Dr. Fatmir, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, good, Prof. This is a very, important discussion, and what you have explained to us is very important. Now, I would like to get some more clarification. I had some of the students complaining, like in the course assessment, we have 30% assignment. Now, they complain that some of the lectures, instead of giving this 30%, they give them small assignments. Like, for example, to do a field study, then it carries 3%, for example. And the student complained because they have, within this 30%, they have to do like 12 or 15 assignments. Is that accepted? I mean, this is a burden. They were complaining because they said that this is a burden. So now how do we identify? When you look at the key indicator here, that we have 30% is assignment. Is the lecturer allowed to divide this into small parts, to give them small assignments and to give them many works to do, especially when we started to have this community engagement, so they collect the data? You see, is that, like you mentioned, it should not be a burden for the students. So I don't know, is this right, Prof? I mentioned to the student, you have the right to complain if you see that any of the lecturer is doing this and is against the assessment itself. So how do you think, Prof? Is that, ethical when?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Fatmir. I think Dr. Wira is well versed with this issue. I'm not, because students never complain to me. Maybe I'm too old for them to complain, so they just couldn't be bothered. Okay, this fall under the principle of fairness. Just like beauty, we use the phrase, I cannot remember the phrase exactly. Beauty be in the eyes of beholder. Am I right, Dr. Wira? Okay. Fairness be in the eyes of the test takers, or those who have been assessed. We have to find out from them, is it too much? At least we need to be humble sometimes to learn from them. Are we giving them too much burden? To some, maybe high flyers, it's okay because everything at their fingertips. But to some, they have to struggle doing the assignment. And as we mentioned just now, it's better to have the big picture for us to define the nature and the amount of tasks. I cannot say whether it can be done or not, because it's the autonomy of the individual lecturer to define, because they are the best person given the students that they have. After 1 week, in fact, or 2-week meetings, they know whether the student can cope up with his or her expectation of the assignment. So I cannot give you a conclusive answer. It depends on the wisdom of the lecturer, but still it should be fair. To be fair, find out.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Prof. If I can sort of add on that, I mean, because it is also based on the data that we collected at the end of the first two ERTL, where we actually asked the lecturers, how much time would you ask? I mean, like, how much time do you expect the students to spend on your course? It is also interesting to find that some of the staff are still not aware, like what is the equivalent of 3 credit hours. 3 credit hours is around 120 hours learning hours. So in this case, if you expect the students to spend 30 hours or even 15 hours on your course every week, and then if we multiply by the number of some weeks in the semester plus the exam, you actually have exceed the learning time that the credit hours is allocated for the course. So I think this kind of awareness can also be something that tied up to the assessment, because when we ask them to do assessment, learning time is also need to be counted, right, Prof? So I think maybe this is what we have been missing from those assessment that seems bulky for certain courses. Apparently, yeah, it is shown from the data that we receive. A lot of lecturers, I mean, like quite a number of lecturers, are still not aware what the 3 credit hours equivalent means for learning time.
I'm not surprised, Prof. Mira, because being young and especially just get a doctoral degree or just being promoted, we are ambitious. We seems to put or expect students to be at our level. Okay, so I don't really blame, but remember the principle: we must be fair. Okay, fairness, and I always use the phrase fairness be in the eyes of the test takers. Ask them, find out from them, and be sincere about them. About that, we want to know. So what CPD did is a good thing, and it's time to reflect and to apply assessment as learning. We have to help our colleagues who are not here, who are not aware of this issue, while evaluating or while discussing their cost plan. Okay, the cost plan. Then look at the assessment. Just to say, just to find out, have you checked whether student can or cannot really do this assignment? Okay, then we as a professional, that's what we should get. Peers' opinion about things that we do, not about our personal things, but things that we do with our student. As a professional, this input of value, high value in professionalism. There is peer assessment, and this can be done in a very diplomatic, politically correct manner in discussion, in professional discussion, without having any grudges or ill intention about what other people's been doing. We really try to do this for the sake of the student, for the sake of our colleagues, and for the sake of our own learning. Wallahu alam.
Prof,
Mungkin
Dr. Izzuddin, sorry, Prof. Dr. Izzuddin has written his question in the chat. From
Okay.
your sharing, I understand that we should give.
I cannot see. Let me read the chat.
From your sharing, I understand that we should give an assessment that can cover multiple CLOs. Should we aim for that all the time?
Let
in
me
all the
see.
courses, or it depends on each course?
From what you're sharing, I understand that we give an assessment that can cover. We may not. It depends on you. People in anatomy, they want just a test to cover ability to memorize, ability. So it's, and that's why we have to have this alignment so we can plan. Do we need an assessment to cover more than one CLO, or just covering? It's again your decision as the owner of that course, as the instructor who's responsible to decide what grade to be given to student at the end of the semester. So this can be done, but it's not the only way or the only thing that can be done. We can have a test, a final exam, just to cover maybe learning outcome number 1. Okay, especially about final exam. If you arrange, I think this mentioned by Prof Wira just now, if we arrange it according to the learning outcomes, if the course learning outcome are arranged according to the performance level, like this one here, knowledge, application, and preparing something. If it's arranged in that, then we can decide whether such as the first learning outcome to be tested using tests. But sometimes you have two different levels of learning outcome in one segment of learning outcome. Then I think you have to justify whether you want to use one assessment tool or more than more than one assessment tool, or maybe the assessment tool can cover more than one learning outcomes. Okay, so judgment. So again, meaning that while planning this, you have to fall in love with your learning outcomes. You have to understand it thoroughly, and you have to understand the implication of your love to your learning outcomes. What tools to be used? Dr. Izzuddin? I don't know if I answer your question, Dr. Izzuddin, but that's my understanding of your question. And my answer is for you to decide. But you must have reason for doing whatever decision you end up with.
Answer is clear to me.
I think Dr. Izzuddin said he understand and
Okay,
he agrees.
Itu baru mukadimah ya, apa yang kita discuss tadi baru mukadimah. Saya belajar daripada kawan, my friends, Arab brothers who teach me mukadimah should be long. So my mukadimah for our meeting today is very long. I'm sorry. If there's no other things, actually kalau
Prof, mungkin last one Prof boleh tak? Because I just like to understand from Prof lah. Because for example, research proposal, Prof were asking to create a paper, kan? For example lah. But how about
proposal paper?
Okay, to write a paper, for example, write a paper. How about if some were to actually do, they write a video presentation. Contohnya, prepare proposal report acceptable standard. Probably they need to do a video presentation. Mm-hmm. But then the question now is they want to do a video presentation in the YouTube or some form of video presentation that they want. Mm-hmm. Not only they need to actually learn how to do the presentation, they also need to learn different skill as well. How do you consider that as a learning outcome in that sense? Because they have different skill that they need to learn to do the video, to actually edit the video and all those things. Is that considered fair for the student or not in that sense? Because there are multiple skills that they need to learn at the same time.
Yes.
On top of this learning outcome lah.
After thinking about that and asking friends, can this be done by student? So many things. Nak buat video, nak buat slide tu pun kalau saya terkial-kial trying to get a slide done. So is it reasonable for student to do all these things? That's come the our reflection before we even put it on paper and tell student this is what you need to do. This is the planning stage, kan? Kalau you feel based on informed decision that this can be done by student, okay? And then I think that there's no harm. Tapi if you feel that too much, just put yourself in their shoes. Can you do it? Okay. Ini come the subjective elements of assessment lah. our judgment about what needs to be achieved, how to what the meaning, what we mean by preparing research proposal in presentation, what does that really mean, and we translate that into the formulation or the formation of the construction of a rubric. The rubric should tell student and ourselves what we need to consider. Kalau too much, jadi tak payah masukkan dalam rubrik tu sampai the quality of video yang student kena buat, because there's another set of skills. You're correct about that. So in a nutshell, what I mean to say is that it's your judgment based on your knowledge about the contents of this course, the concepts, the skill that student must master for the course, is your judgment. Then decide accordingly. Maybe kalau kelas tu ada sampai there are 40 students in that class, I hardly see any opportunity to give enough time for students to present their work to be judged fairly. So maybe presentation just present it through video, macam you cakap tu. But the quality of video, aspects of the video to be evaluated, that will be decided to and kena masukkan dalam in your rubric. You have to put it and state it clearly in the rubric so that student can focus on what's important, or rather what you think important. What the lecturer think important will be clearly defined in your scoring rubric. My research proposal ni, I give them, number one, the rubric. Ada two types of rubric. That is rubric for yang kalau dia really wants to publish, that's one rubric. Another one, the conventional rubric, criteria of quality research report. Okay, and we use that in class until they have a grasp of what makes a good research report. And not only that, I provide them with examples of quality mini research report that earlier students have prepared, not necessarily papers that presented by others, but their seniors have prepared. That's the second thing. And if I have the opportunity, which I don't right now, I really want them to have double-blind peer reviews. Okay, I really looking forward to that opportunity, because I come to read quite a number of anecdotal reports saying that it works best with postgraduate students. Peer review, but it must be double-blind. It must be keeping the assessors or the evaluators and students free from knowing who's the student to be evaluated and who is the evaluator. It really works when confidentiality is properly guarded. So, Doctor, again, I'm not sure whether I really, touch the points that you have raised, the issue that you have raised, but I think the instructor is sort of responsible to decide what matters in the statement of learning outcome, and that must be documented. What matters must be documented in the scoring rubric. If there's nothing about high quality video presentation that you demonstrate your skills in A, B, C, D, then I think there's no point of giving grades or marks to those things when they submitted their video. I think there's two more new messages.
Fair enough. Thank you, Prof.
Thanks. Answered my question. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. Okay. Boleh we give we go to our first point. Nampaknya tak habis lah 3 hours ya. Prof Mira, sorry. Ini dah berapa jam? Dah dekat 2 jam lah. Still mukadimah. Okay, but yang lain I think I've shared before. Just I want to provoke our discussion to talk about the important thing tadi lah. Student learning time tu must be fairly accommodated with in our assessment of their learning. Let me stop here. And can we have a short break? 5-10 minutes kah?
Boleh.
Boleh?
Yes, can, Prof.
Sure.
Dr. Wira, boleh ya? Banyak sangat bercakap ni. How about what time are we supposed to meet so I can really control my time?
You want 5 minutes, Prof, or 10 minutes? Maybe.
Make it 10 minutes.
Maybe 11 kot.
11, 30 minutes. Okay, boleh. Boleh dia participant? Now I'm applying what I've said just now. Is it?
Okay, Prof.
Boleh, Prof.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So 11 insyaAllah we'll get back together.
Okay, insyaAllah.
Sure, Prof. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Can you thank you, Prof. Ma'an, for still being here. I don't know why Prof. Ma'an is here, just like I don't know why Prof. Saimi is here. You make me scared.
We have a lot to learn, Prof.
I think it's just a matter of putting things together. You have the experience enough to help us as well. Okay, let me continue with the real content, which most of you have seen before. This is the planning stage. As we have discussed just now, we have to study our CLO. We have to fall in love with the CLO and get the big picture and the assessment tools, considering the four golden rules of assessment while doing this planning process, while aligning the purpose of the assessment and the CLOs, selecting the appropriate measurement tool, create the assignment, develop a summative test if we are having summative test, and to close the loop, we have to consistently providing feedback, especially for the assignment. It's not one-off thing, it's continuous. That's why they use the term formative and continuous assessment. And feed forward. Feed forward is something most of us are not that familiar with yet. Maybe we spend some time. And my colleagues, if I don't have the chance to share this, my colleagues, Prof. Aino, Prof. Noli, and Dr. Joe, even Dr. Zainuddin can highlight on the importance of feed forward. Okay, let me enlarge this screen. Okay, I think we have covered all this indirectly when we were discussing about the planning just now, because this part of the planning, we have to understand purpose of the assessment given the learning outcomes can be just of learning or for learning. And now Prof. Mira adding something new to this, assessment as learning, we may consider that as well. Because once we do the two things, by default, we are doing assessment as learning, but we can be explicit. There is design that in our assessment. And on the left is the levels of learning outcomes which are there in our course outline, the cognitive skills, the functional skills, and even right now they put all the soft skill, leadership, responsibility, and intangibles of importance in the statement of learning outcome. It's no longer being isolated. The rule of thumb says that when we state it in the learning outcome, now we have performance standard, content standard, and soft skill. When we have that in the statement of learning outcome, so it should be assessed and reported. That's what the theory say. But in reality, people always avoid talking about the performance, student performance with regard to the soft skill. Maybe something for future leaders of assessment, especially at our university, should pay attention to. Especially when we are talking about our university is a unique university where we are to humanizing education. So maybe the last two items can be studied and I mean there's a plan and proper procedure of how to integrate this in our assessment and help students to improve in these things in our courses. Okay, so assessment for learning will take place if we have this. Again, not something which is not alien to you. When we have these features, not all, maybe most of them, in our assessment, explicit communication about assessment, that it is now not course outline, it should be in our course plan. Okay, that's the best practice. In the course plan that we are creating, just attach the so-called assessment methods. We can be more elaborate by putting the assignment specification, okay, or I call it here task spec, in the course plan. Okay, so our course plan will look thicker, but actually we have been doing that, and but we can put it together in the course plan. Scoring rubric, thoroughly discuss here means that we share this with students, okay, and not one-off approach, but continuously sharing this, highlighting the meaning of statement that we have in the scoring rubric. And of course, if this is a multi-section course, we should have consensus and agreement among colleagues to use that scoring rubric. So the hallmark of successfully using this is that students can use this rubric to evaluate their assignment. They can grade that, and studies have shown that there is very highly correlated score between grade given by the lecturer and grade that student expect to get. When they have been adequately trained, they use it to evaluate their work and to evaluate other students, their colleagues, their friends' work. And this is the one that we have been discussing just now. The next one, matching workload and grade allocation. Okay, even within a course, the test, the assignment should be fairly. The grade should be fairly distributed across workload. Student assessment and the current state of arts in assessment say that the most powerful process that makes a difference in student learning is this one here: self-assessment, muhasabah, okay, which most of us do every night before we go to sleep, and peer assessment. Okay, these are the and even awards been given to people who create system for this. Open and free flow of feedback, and we have a tentative timeline which can be flexible enough to address the unexpected things that happen around us. Open and free flow of feedback. Error correction is recognized even in test quizzes, maybe not in the final exam, maybe not in the midterm exam, but quizzes, we can always help students to improve the mastery of their understanding and their understanding, and what's the other one? Knowledge on the fundamentals, by allowing them to resit and give them the better grade, for instance. So that is acceptable in good assessment. Accommodate multiple correct response. This for high quality or high degree of assessment. Projects that we use. So again, I am emphasizing here the last few words. The assessment for learning should be challenging, engaging, meaningful, and something that students and we and the parents even will be proud of. Okay, so we can put all the assessment in one folder using what they call portfolio, and it can be e-portfolio where they can go to interview for jobs. Just show the potential employers their portfolio of what they have been learning. Okay, so CLO Center, I cannot read the last because Dr. Wira screen. Okay, the last one, study the CLOs. Okay, now we are in the third step. Select the appropriate assessment tool. We have discussed that as well. Get the big picture. Okay, we have seen this example just now, but this is another course, not the course that we have been discussing. Okay, to get the big picture, just think about the usefulness of or the meaningfulness of the assessment tool that we want to examine by asking ourselves these questions. Are the contents, concepts, skills useful in real world? Can we identify its users? Then the answer to this, the users of the assignment that we give them can just like drafting a legal document. Okay, that can really help the professionals, the lawyers to something really useful for the undergraduates in law. What can a student do with the knowledge, concept, and skills gained from this course? Okay, there's another way to ask the same thing. What exactly will student learn to do, to live with, and to become? Okay. By the way, just one thing. I don't know. I've never read any literature on this. I never come across. In my assignment, this is what I try to do. Because I'm a teacher, I have the freedom to be an artist as well as a scientist. Okay, that's what a teacher is. Both of not high-level scientist, but a kampong scientist. Okay, this is what I've tried to do. That is, by asking them to complete and report a mini research, they don't have to do it alone. I think Prof. Sahari did the same thing with her student, with his student. I'm sorry, Prof. Sahari. Okay, they don't have to work in silo. They can work with another student from the class. Okay, so group work. Oh, they can even include Prof. Sahari to be one of the core researchers. Prof. Sahari has been a core researcher for quite a number of students, and they published many papers. So, and even someone from outside the university. One of my students, when she did her a course on structural equation modeling, she managed to convince a professor from actually that professor is a pioneer in instructional model learning. Okay, instructional model theory. So she managed to convince him to do a study to fulfill the course requirement, and they work together and they publish papers, I think. Okay, that is to live with and to become. So think about that. That, I think, to me, maybe, I don't know, maybe you disagree, but to me, I think a student learns. They learn better from them than from their friends, from their own supervisor, than from me. How do we know that students have learned? That's the evidence. Okay, we have to provide the projects that give us the evidence that about the meaningfulness, the usefulness of the project. Okay, I think we don't need this anymore. We have discussed this. Let me just skip through this. Okay, maybe this just a summary of some of the tools. So course learning outcome, we have content standard, performance standard, resources and activities indirectly being covered or being implicitly being stated in the course learning outcome. We may consider two things about the assessment tools that we want to use. Is it going to be a summative assessment or formative assessment? Or is it just summative assessment only? Or is it a completely formative assessment? That's for the instructor to decide. Okay, don't ask IMED or Sahari or Prof Mira to decide. We can help you to think about it, but the decision is an individual lecturer's autonomy. If we talk about summative, or rather our policy, our IUM policy suggests, very loosely suggested, that our assessment method should be a balanced practice of assessment for learning and assessment of learning, which means it should somewhat balance between summative assessment and formative assessment. The issue is, what does it mean by balance? Again, the lecturer is the best person, every lecturer is the best person to talk about his or her balanced assessment. Okay, when we talk about summative assessment, can be sort of cognitive ability. Okay, can be divided into two components. Cognitive ability, this basically Bloom's, or Gagne will talk about knowing what, the declarative and procedural knowledge. That's Gagne. And Miller's, I didn't say anything much about this, but basically is about cognitive ability to know, to understand, to apply, to analyze, to, I think, evaluate and create 6 level of Bloom's taxonomy. That's what we can do, and basically can be tested. Maybe tested using one of these or combination of these two: quiz, a test, open book, mid-sem exam, diagnostic test, final exam. By the way, if we check the literature, we find that some of these tools will not only, deal with students' cognitive ability, but it also can, the instrument can be used to sort of develop, okay, even though this instrument seems to be just testing summative performance or summative cognitive ability, but research have indicated that some of these tests, including if you give, let's say, weekly quiz or test, short, very brief, 10-15 minutes quiz every week, it can help students to develop the personality or psychological attributes such as let me see, I cannot remember the phrase now, such as procrastination attribute. It will help students to be more proactive in their learning, and it is evidence-based, not just an anecdotal kind of literature. It's experimental research, okay, classroom experiment. Students seem to start picking up good learning behavior, including reading habit. We've been complaining students don't read textbook, but this has been tested in research, and they found that students can be changed on the condition the weekly test is consistently conducted. The test is very brief, just covering the knowledge content aspect of the materials, and then it is being graded and commented upon by the instructor and written immediately in the next meeting after the test. Students get back their paper with comments and being assigned with grades. Maybe one test, 5 marks. So if there are 15 tests, 5 times 15, no, 15 is beyond our semester. Maybe 6 or 7 tests that carries about 30 marks, but consistently done every week. And the way they read it, if I can remember, is by giving assignment to students, read chapter 1. That's week 1. At the end of the week, okay, give the test. Monday next week or the first meeting in the following week, return back. At the same time, prepare, read chapter 2. That's changed student behavior because the argument by the researchers was that it is kind of rewarding. But that behavior will be transferred to other courses, even though that the other courses do not really care much about students reading or not reading the textbook. Okay, so even though we say here is summative, it can be used for formative assessment of the intangibles. Skill-based performance. Okay, maybe another requirement student to prepare notes, class notes, based on the lecture, based on reading materials. They prepare their own note taking. Creative writing, document analysis, students. I cannot hear it. I cannot read this. Students self-generated question. Okay, students are asked to write every week. You can write 5 questions that I can include the good one in the final exam, for instance. This seems to be have been tested and worked fine with the treatment group. Clinical performance, project presentation, use of technology. There are many other things. I'm just listing here what came across my mind. And then formative assessment, definitely 2 things: the intangibles, the beliefs, attitudinal, and soft skill. Okay, there are many ways of doing it. I don't know whether we are really doing it. To be honest, I have never tried this explicitly in my course, in the courses that I'm teaching. But I observe that whether it's there in the competency in complex learning, lab work, e-portfolio, mini project, capstone project, research proposal, authentic performance, 14-week project, mini research, and designing things in different disciplines. Take note, all these shouldn't have any repercussion on professional assessment. There are programs with professional certification. These ideas shouldn't go against the requirement of the professional bodies. Please take note of that. I don't want to be misinterpreted that we want to outweigh or overrule the requirements of the professional bodies, even though we don't agree with some of the things that they do, but we have to comply with their requirements. Okay, so this is the example for my course: mini research, computer-based data analysis, oral presentation, article critics. I've been trying this with limited success because of the thing that I've said just now. I cannot really apply. I don't have the system to keep double-blind, high level of confidentiality between the of who are the assessors and who are the students. Hello.
Okay. Continue. Yes.
Did you lose me?
Maybe my internet connection. Okay. Continue. Yes.
Actually, after reflecting, I may consider method 1 and method 2 as one thing. That is, report of mini research 50%, to include the computer-based data analysis. So I have 70% there. Okay, and oral presentation 15%. This is just this is not the research method course. This is another course, structural equation modeling. So basically that's the thing. But now I want to go to something which I think the second skill that I want to share with you today. Task specification. I think Dr. Putri will be given a workshop on this. So I don't want to deal with this now. Okay. Now, when we give students final exam and even midterm that carries its exam, okay, summative test, then we have to have okay, before I go there, maybe this is to highlight what I really mean by the issue of just relying on, okay, Doctor, I cannot remember, was it Dr. Murni, I think, who asked me about this. Student will only get a B, a grade, an A grade, if the paper is accepted for publication. Okay, A there, the paper is accepted. This is the question asked earlier. But actually, students have two options. In fact, they don't have to tell me. I will rely on the option that that will give them the best grade. Either the rubric of the research report or the modified scoring rubric. I will decide for them. I don't want them to get confused and become indecisive in doing their work. If they have evidence of the modified scoring rubric, then up to A, then I will give them an A without even the need for me. I don't think I need to read their work anymore. If the paper is already accepted to be published in the conference proceeding, why should I? Who am I to challenge the experts in that conference? So they help me. In fact, they help me to evaluate my students' work. Okay, so that is one of the two methods of giving grade. They may get an A minus because the paper is only accepted for oral presentation, and so it is publishable. So is that all? No. Once they don't get the evidence of publication, but it has been accepted, then I'll fall back on the rubric. If I think that it is publishable based on this rubric, based on the evaluative criteria, then they'll get an A, not A minus. Okay, that's what I really meant when I presented. It's not just the modifying scoring rubric. The two things work together. Okay, Dr. Murni, I think you asked that question earlier.
Yes, Prof. Thank you very much, Prof.
Okay. Okay, a test is useful to the degree. This the summative test again. The results measure student learning. Okay. Now it must be valid, reliable, fair, and I forgot to add the new thing that is flexible. That's the four golden rules. Now I'm going to stop sharing this, and we have to help ourselves to master the other skill. That is to plan for a valid, high stakes summative test. Okay. Okay. Let me share the screen again. Okay. Let's say I'm going to have now we can plan together. In fact, yes, why not? Ini dah cikgu tiba-tiba datang idea terus nak buat. Okay, let's plan this. I believe many of you can remember the contents of the course that you are teaching. Do you? I need a volunteer now. Do we have anybody here that can remember the contents, not the learning outcomes, but the contents of the course that you are teaching, and you intend to test the contents in the mid-sem? Any volunteer who can help us with this activity? Recall your course outline and recall the contents, the major contents, the concept and the skills that you have on your course outline. Dr. Murni, sudi ke nak tolong?
Sudi, Prof.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, this is what we are going to do. First, if everybody can unless you are using mobile phone, kalau pakai laptop boleh buat ni sama-sama. Okay.
My class is research methodology, Prof.
Apa ni research methodology at what level? Master's level?
Masters and PhD.
Alhamdulillah. Which kuliah, Dr. Murni? I'm sorry, I'm a young man. I don't remember.
Tak apa, Prof. I'm from ICT.
I see. Okay. Let's do this. Research methodology sama macam saya lah. I'm teaching that too. Okay.
Oh, yeah, sama, Prof. It's same. Is it okay, Prof?
Yeah.
Okay ke? Is
Okay.
it
Good. Kalau you can now open your Excel file. Afterward, we can share it and I can guide you. Not guide you. Get us all of us together. Maybe you can help me too. Put this in writing. Say this is Excel file, and you have the first column numbers, meaning the contents, and the second one the title there is content. There's column B, column C. Just write weight. Maybe you know. Maybe I have to explain to some letters, and then items. Okay, here spelling error.
Should I do it in my
Yes, and then share it with us.
Okay. So I'm doing right now.
Okay, and share this thing with us.
Okay. Give me.
Maybe you don't recall all, but at least 10 or slightly more.
Actually, Prof, I have it in my unfinished class plan.
Okay. Bolehlah pakai content to this too. Boleh show that. On the condition you have the in your the three things up here: contents, weight, and item. Kalau you have that, then we can work on that.
Okay, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, brothers and sisters. After Dr. Murni, you can share yours if you want. But let's have a look at Dr. Murni's work, where I can see if the planning have the same mode across board.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam.
If I may ask about the weight, how is it actually?
Inilah
is
tujuan
it the
kita
blueprint?
ni. Inilah tujuan kita nak discuss ni. Nak understand what it means by weight, nak understand macam mana nak buat benda ni dalam our planning. That's what you mean, kan?
Macam Prof said just now, unless you have the weight and unless you have the weight. I'm not sure if I had the weight.
No, I mean kalau you tak ada, tahu tambah aja weight.
Oh, tambah je kolom.
Tambah saja. Tapi tiga ni lah yang mesti ada: content, weight, and item.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, Dr. Wira, boleh sekarang Dr. Murni, Prof Murni share with us?
Yes, everyone can share the screen actually.
Okay, please, Prof Murni.
Maybe Prof, you stop sharing.
I tengah ni.
I stop my sharing. All right. All yours now.
Okay, Prof, sekejap ya. I need to have my Excel. I'm copying some of the information. We can see my screen now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm just actually making a copy. So the first column just now was the weight, was it? Prof, tadi yang first content tadi, first column tadi apa? Weight
Yeah, weight.
Weight dari satu? Lupa.
Item.
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 The first one item and then?
No. After the left side of weight
Oh.
is item. Situ betul.
Item.
No.
And then?
Situ no. Weight tadi betul. Weight.
Weight IGHT.
And to the
and
left,
item.
to the right, item, yeah.
So basically at the moment, this is how the course outline look like. I'm still learning about the course actually. Okay, Prof, I have now 10 items. The course title is research ICT, research methodology for research methods for ICT.
Okay.
The course is taken by both actually all PG students for KICT, for the masters by research and for PhD, they are auditing the course.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, can I ask a few questions before we
Yes,
get
Prof,
started doing it? Are you going to ask everything that you listed here? For instance, under item introduction, you have what is research, philosophy and Islam, ICT, Islam and the significance of. Are you going to have a question on all this?
Okay, Prof, first of all, the sub item here is actually to guide me on what are the topic to be covered for that particular week.
Yes, I understand.
Okay,
Do you intend to ask each content area? Are you going to have it on your test paper or exam paper?
No, Prof.
No. Okay.
I didn't. Okay, at the moment, the way well, actually, I have a lot of discussion with other professors as well how to like improvise this course. This is what I relate to my earlier questions tadi kan, when I was asking you the awal tadi, what is my intention of taking this course. So we feel that the course is really important kan for our PhD dengan master students.
Yes.
So one of the main outcome is actually the research proposal. And what we want, the intent is, at the end of this course, the student must at least produce a proposal that is nearly to be defended.
All right. Okay, good. Okay. But you still have this in your course online. You still have this final exam, right?
At the moment, no. We in a
Oh, tak
course
ada.
outline we have. Okay, this course has a final assessment. So the final assessment to ada 40%. So in that 40%, there are two parts. The first part is the 30% is on the research proposal, and then the 10% will be in the presentation for presentation.
Maknanya memang tak ada exam lah.
This course, dia ada class assessment, tapi it's really up to lecturer to do. And for me, I don't have exam.
I see. Okay. Tak apalah, because we don't have much time. Otherwise, we look for one that really need to have this plan. In your case, then there is no need sebab of the situation that you explained just now.
But Prof, I really like to learn.
Yes.
You know, I think we can assume to have exam, and then I can learn from there.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Let's assume you are going to have exam. And let's ignore the subheading because you are not sure the subcomponent of each topic ni, because you are not sure whether you are going to really test each of that. But the minute you document it here, macam ni, maknanya you have to have a question on all the bullets tu.
Okay.
Kalau assume tak ada. So you only have 10 contents katakan.
Yes.
Yeah? 10 content. Now that's one decision. Okay, the contents to be tested is one of the standard that you have to fulfill, not only while preparing the course outline, but also while preparing the assessment plan for exam. Now, another question, let's assume you are going to give, you are going to give a 40 multiple choice test. This will be tested using a 40 items multiple choice exam. Setuju tak? Even though some people may have 40 MCQ. 40 MCQ. So dua assumption. Satu, kita hanya ada 10 topics here untuk classroom assessment macam kita buat ni, okey lah. Untuk kalau untuk lembaga peperiksaannya sangat tak okey lah, lembaga peperiksaan sampai 2 tahun punya content to be tested. Okay. That's the assumption, 40 MCQ for 10 topics. Now, ignore all the subheading, just focus on the major heading, the major 10 headings, 10 topics ni aja. Okay. Now we are going to decide on the second component of this, what we call test spec. Now, look at each topic and decide which is the least important topic.
Okay, so I have
you have 10 there.
Okay, I have 10. I have introduction to ICT, and then problem statement 1 and 2. And then I have systematic literature review, and then I have planning, and then qualitative, descriptive, research design, research methodology, and then I have quantitative. Okay, I stop at 10. So I think, in my thinking, the topic number 1, number 1 topic, because this is very much recall and student can just read. So this is just to give a general foundation for them to understand what this general. So I think, in terms of, not the topic is not important, but in terms of assessing the students, maybe like title number 1 or item number 1 here, maybe this is the least important.
Okay, once you decided, there can be, once decided on the least important, then the weight should be assigned with a value of 1. Put 1 there. That's what it meant by weight.
Okay.
Weight means the relative importance of a topic. Okay, in terms of its the time students spend, the usefulness of that content, the amount of reading that they have, all that will come into play. So we have to make again an objective set an objective value subjectively. So we assign 1. Now look at other topics now. Look at second topic, for instance.
Okay, I think the second topic and the third topic, because this is very important when the student is trying to build the proposal, because a lot of things will be based on these two topics. So this, I think this is more important than number one.
Okay. How many times more important? This is a very critical question.
How many
2 times, 3 times?
I think the most important.
The most important. If it is the most important, then according to the standard, we give a value of 3.
3.
Yes. Okay, then move on.
Okay. Okay, and then the literature review. I think literature review is also very important.
Okay, then 2 or 3?
3.
Okay.
Okay. And then the planning, maybe number 2, because to me, this is very much on the practical side of it. Good. We have 3 kan, Prof? 1, 2, 3, right?
Okay.
2.
Just maximum 3. The minute you say is more than 3, then you have to split that topic.
Okay. Oh, do we have more than 3?
No, maximum 3 according to the practice. Okay.
If that's the case, I think literature review tadi. Okay, I have literature review 3. Okay. And then this one is understanding the details. I think I'm gonna put it 2. And then here number 2. Oh, sorry. Here 2, because these are some of the details. And then 2. And then I think here 2. And then here 2. Okay, so my justification will be the number problem statement and the systematic review is the very important skill, the fundamental skill that the student has to grab. But the others one, like planning and research design, these are something that the skill that they can acquire along the way. That's my thoughts lah about why I put these 2 here.
Good, very good. Now you know what you have to do next, brothers, sisters. This is critical. One, you have decided on the weight. If it involves other groups or other lecturers, the weight must be vetted before we even consider the item. The weight must be vetted. We have to get peers assessment of the weightage given to every topic. So we have to ask friends, look at this, is it distribution? Maybe now, we can do it right now. Anybody disagree with the distribution of weight that Dr. Murni has listed here? Anybody? Based on your experience as a teacher of research method, especially, or based on your experience as a student of research method? 1, 2, 3. Dr. Murni, there's no objection, so we retain this.
Yeah, but I have objection to my suggestion.
Yes, please. I need punishment.
Okay. I think when I relook and then start thinking about the, some observation that I have seen among the students, maybe I decided now planning, research, and writing proposal is a 3. Okay, Prof, thank you.
Okay. So that's the reality. It's not written on stone, rock. It's something that we have to, there are things we have to consider, such as students' ability. Okay, so maybe from time to time it may be changed. Now go to the last row, Doctor.
Last row.
Okay, calculate the total weight. Okay,
okay.
The total. Okay, get the total weight of the C column. The last one. Oh, only 10 topics. Okay, only 10 topics. Okay.
I'm just taking only 10 topics.
Now you have the weight. You are going to have the you have the weight for every topic and the total weight. This is the first. Okay, 23. It sounds difficult, but never mind. Let it be the way it is right now. Once we have the total weight, we can we can allocate the number of items for each topic. So that's the step. First the topic. Okay, go to the first row again.
I go to the first
introduction. Okay. Equal sign.
What?
One or wait. I mean
23.
No. One. You may bring your
okay.
cursor to this.
Ini.
Okay. Divide by. No. Yes. Divide by 23. Multiply. Oh, I'm sorry. Multiply by 40. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait.
40 times 23.
Let me see. Wait. No. Divide by 23. The total weights. Divide by the total weights.
23
times 40 items.
times 40.
Okay. And you have something like 1.7 number of items for this topic. That's what you mean. Can you round up this? Can you round up to without the decimal point?
Two questions.
Okay. Or you can, yes, two question and the same thing to be applied to all weights.
Yeah.
Okay. Jauhnya sampai 10,000.
Oh, tak tahu kenapa apa jadi. Anyone has
Yes, control home.
Saya lupa.
Control home.
Control.
I thought you are in ICT.
Itulah, tapi I tak pandai.
Control home.
Assalamualaikum, Prof. May I ask a question?
Yes, siapa? Dr. Putri? No.
My name is Najat.
Yes, Dr. Najat, please.
Can I ask about the total weight? Is there like a number where the total has to be like a maximum number or minimum number? Like it has to be like...
Okay, the rule, the guide is that the total weight should be less than the number of items. Kalau total weight sama dengan item, maknanya a weight of one will be given one item.
Okay.
Okay, I have this.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Ya, Prof. Sikit lagi ya. Copy. Okay, Prof.
Okay. And then assign round up the values 2, 5.
5. I think I should delete this one, tapi tak apa. Okay, lama. 5. Saya yang ni saya ambil 4 lagi. Very close to ni.
Berapa? 3.4. You ambil 4. Okay. Okay, cuba tengok berapa total items.
Boleh.
42. Lebih 2 ya, lebih 2. So you have to decide now sebab you have decided earlier nak 40 items kan. Now ada 42 jadinya. So you have to decide lah nak kekalkan 40. So you reduce items, number of items, rounding by masa buat rounding up tadi from 1 or 2 topics, reducekan 1, or you increase the number of items to 42. That's your decision again.
Okay. So we can keep 42 or we can reduce to 40.
Okay.
All right.
Jadi the meaning of this exercise is that one, you have the topic, then you decide on the relative importance of the topic, then you can determine the number of items to be used for each topic. That's the implication of that exercise. Okay. Now the next step, which is very important, can we go to F column?
F.
Okay. Now remember belum kata ini baru performance standard. Tadi kita cakap content standard, column B tu now performance standard. Belum kata we have 6 level of learning or 6 level of cognitive learning. Jadi maknanya item-item ni we can determine now. Contohnya topik 1 tu which level. Okay. kalau ikut lembaga peperiksaan, dia akan ada 6 kolom di sini. Okay, 6 kolom, one for each level of learning. They start F tu mungkin knowledge, G apa, lepas knowledge apa, understanding, ada 6. Kalau ikut apa ni lah, kalau ikut apa ni Bloom, yang mana dipatuhi sepenuhnya oleh lembaga peperiksaan dan majlis peperiksaan Malaysia, they follow that strictly, religiously and spiritually. But we are academician, we are institution of higher learning. We are not doing nation standard. We are not going to use our questionnaire ini untuk standardized test nationwide. So there's no reason kita kena ikut Bloom apa ni sepenuhnya. The literature, even if I am not mistaken, I noticed that MQA punya standard, dia tak pakai 6, dia pakai 2 sahaja.
Oh, okay.
Dia pakai, which will be more practical and suitable to our situation as institution of higher education lah. Okay, apa 2 tu? Yang number 1, knowledge and understanding, to be combined together and put as use the level low order thinking, LOT. So you can just use LOT di situ, yes, LOT. Okay, type LOT. Tak payah yang lain, tak payah. Low order thinking ni memang 2 ni lah. Other than that, daripada application to creative, to create, that is higher order thinking, lot and hot. That's it. Now, you have in your plan the 2 standards, the contents and the performance. Performance, we make it simple for our life in our planning, just to have lot and hot. Now, what need to be decided? How many questions on hot and how many questions on lot? Ini can be simplified. Kalau kita kata 50-50, that is very simplified. Maybe even without any reason for doing that. Okay, itu the simplest. Atau look at each topic and decide accordingly. How many items, number 1 ni, kalau saya nombor 1 ni, you kata tadi pun tak important sangat, conceptual. So, lot nombor 1. Yang type 2 lah. 2 lah, kalau semuanya lot.
Yes.
Yang 5 ni, then we decide topik ni just knowing or being able to apply.
Okay, this one, okay. Maybe we can say something like this.
Correct. This is more meticulous, more analytical. Yes. So you divide the number of items tadi according to the performance standard that deems useful for the course.
So this one kan, Prof, when we deciding the number of question ni, is really up to our judgment kan?
Professional judgment, not just taruh angka, but your professional judgment about the importance of the topic that you're testing. Okay.
Okay. So kita pun we can do this for simplicity. Okay.
That's it. You have completed the what I normally term as bare-bone table of test pack, but is already an evidence of content validity of your assessment. Di Amerika ni yang inilah yang dia orang nak tengok ni, ada tak your apa ni evidence of content validity of your test. Ada case masuk court pun. Tapi lecturer tu memang ada, jadi tak ada masalah lah pada dia. So this is the evidence. Once completed, get a person who is familiar with the course to go through and provide suggestion for improvement kalau ada. Right. Contohnya dia kata ini topik 10 ni sepatutnya semua hot. Okay, dia cakap macam tu. Jadi kenapa mesti nak masukkan, in fact it's easier to create stimulus, okay, to test item 10 create a stimulus with higher order high order thinking question. Mungkin ada orang cakap macam tu.
Right.
So that is the process of validation. That is providing evidence that your test is content valid. That's validity. This is an important practice. Kalau ada macam ni pun Prof Suhaimi and his team of auditors dah puas hati dah Prof Suhaimi. I don't know whether he's still here or not. Evidence ni yang saya dengar Dr. Wira ke Dr. Putri yang tanya kan, our internal assessor start tanya masa audit lagi tu. Am I right?
Yes.
Sebab dia orang belajar daripada Dr. Suhaimi ni masa assessment punya workshop tu. You were there tu masa assessment punya workshop tu? Okay.
Yes, I was there.
This the thing that constitute a critical component of planning, and this thing needs to be done early. Tak payah tunggu seminggu dua In fact, first week or before the first week kita dah set dah. Ini table of the spec for this one for midterm, and the other one for final exam. On the condition it carries, bukan condition, especially if it carries more than 30% of the final grade. That's what the skill, I think, when I use my own example, people get very confused. So I'm now using Dr. Murni's example. I hope you are not that confused anymore.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam.
If I may ask,
yes.
Is there any like rules or not rules, like a guide, for year, first year and second year, the percentage must be for LOT, lot must be for around this percentage, and for maybe second, third year and final year, the percentage should be fall under this percentage for lot and hot.
I think general guide ada. When we look at the description for I don't know what term they use, descriptor of levels of study and learning outcome. That indirectly indicates but nobody really focus on relating that to table of test spec. But table of test spec ni to most of us is something new, let alone to look at the year of study and the lot and hot. Memang saya rasa belum, kalau ada pun isolated cases lah yang people really focus on that. So I cannot answer that convincingly because I don't know. Tapi kalau the spirit of our qualification framework, the Malaysian qualification framework, is trying to relate the level of learning tadi tu with the assessment item, either hot or not. Memang spirit tu ada, but how to really or example of really doing that, I am yet to see. Kecuali Dr. Wira, you have the experience with MQA punya apa ni, ada ke tu?
I think based on MQA for degree level, we should have most of the percentage should be at the analysis part, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And for master degree, the most percentage should be at the nombor 3 tu apa? Evaluation. And then PhD, most should be at the creation, the highest.
So within apa ni tak ada among the within the degree program, year 1, year 2 versus year 3, tak ada differentiation.
Tak ada, no. Only degree, bachelor degree or master degree and PhD.
But what matters is your apa ni, your feeling about your plan. Are you doing justice to the course, to the student, to yourself? Kalau tanya semua just lot aja, memang rasanya tak justifiable lah. Even though you may claim, well, for exam I just use lot. That's what most teachers do. but for assignment, I use hot. Okay. But still, it's a good thing if you can have somewhat balance, given the learning outcomes to be mastered.
Okay, because I thought at the first year level, it should be more lot than hot.
I think sekali lagi it depends on course. For other course, contohnya my statistik punya course lah. Ada yang even though is doctoral level, ada yang dia mesti really understand the interpretation of certain statistic. They must be able to understand so they can rewrite in their own words or paraphrase. Okay, so that is a lot. Understand? Not analyze. Maybe that's the main focus of the course, but it is to be tested in their research, mini research. So that's how I think about that. Sebab untuk test hot bukan senang. Stimulus tu must be really authentic. The question that we pose must really testing higher order thinking. So but when they produce their own reports, then we can see whether or not they can interpret, they can paraphrase the meaning of the terms. Maybe that can be tested too in reports, in many research report. I think dah lepas pukul 12 sekarang tak?
Okay, thank you, Prof, for the answer.
Dr. Izzuddin wants to ask question, Prof.
Yes, please, Dr. Izzuddin.
Yes, yes, Prof. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure. Very clear
yes.
now.
All right. Okay, thank you. So I have 3 concerns here. So you should, Dr. Murni just now in her Excel, she showed that there are 40 items for example, there are 40 items in the exam question. So my question is that, do we divide or do we allocate the total number of questions, or is it the total marks? Because we know that in exam we usually have the MCQ questions, and then we have structured questions and then essay questions, and then each of the question will carry different marks. So will it be fair if we just put the number of questions, whereas MCQ only carries 1 usually, but then essay question might carry 10 marks? So that's the first question. Do you want to answer that first, or can you go through all
maybe
the questions?
Dr. Murni, let me try to see how I can address this concern. It's a good concern. Okay, actually the table of test pack yang Dr. Murni sharing with us now, we have decided, the decision has been made that this test will contain 40 MCQ item. That's decided. That's the parameter. So meaning that the convention is for every multiple choice question, it carries 1 mark. So if there are 40 questions, then there'll be 40 marks. You are right. In many cases, we may also want to have the test to include to include essay type, a brief response item, essay type question. That's good, but you have to create another spec, not this one. This is for MCQ. Okay. We have to create another spec highlighting the same things, except we change it instead of items, we change it to scores, the marks for each topic that we are going to test. For example, let's say for the essay part, you are only going to cover maybe out of 10 topics here, maybe 3 topics which you think to be tested, because essay cannot test so many questions. So we select that 3 and create down there after this what we see, another test spec for essay item. Everything is similar except number 1, only the topics that you are going to test using essay item. That's number 1. Number 2 is the weight still remain the same. We have to assign weight, like what Sister Dr. Murni stated. Number 3 is instead of number of items, we have to assign score for each, marks for each topic. It can be of equal weight, but better still, it depends on the relative weight. I think there's one question in the chat box asking that if how to calculate number of items. Am I right? I cannot remember the person, but again, the formula for number of items is simple. I think, okay, look at that. C3. That's the formula. C3 means the weight for item 1. Okay, look at the column C1. That's the weight. Okay, divide by the total weights. Okay, the weight for this topic is 1, and divide by the total weights 23 down there. Okay, 23 times by the one that the parameter that is we are only going to test 40 items. So times by 40, then you get, if you round up, you get 2 questions for this particular topic. Okay, I hope I answered that. You can check the formula is up there. Where that 23 come from, where that 40 come from, we have to be conversant with that. 23 is the total weight that we have in column C. 23, I'm sorry, 23 is the total weight, and 40 is the total items. If we decide to have 50 items, then we have to have 50 there. There's one thing before I forget. Now I forgotten. It's something people confused too. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Izzuddin. You're right. Weight divided by total weight times by the items. Oh yes. It's about a study on the number of items for a test. The literature stated that if it is a self-developed test, okay, the number of items should be at least 40 to make it reliable, to have the Kuder-Richardson Formula 21 reaches a reliability level of 0.7. Okay, so however, if we select items, established items which have been tested and found to be good before, we can reduce the number of items. So the minimum number of items for a good quality yet self-developed test is 40. That's the guideline. MCQ. Okay, MCQ. Essay item, it doesn't depend on Kuder-Richardson. It depends on intra-rater correlation. Okay, the marks given by rater 1 and rater 2 for the question, for every question that we have on the test. So that's the other one that I missed to tell you earlier. Dah pukul berapa dah ni? Tak nak balik ke?
Itulah semua bersemangat dengar ni, Prof. Ada lagi soalan kan, Dr. Izzuddin?
Ada lagi kalau kira boleh proceed ke?
Tanyalah.
Boleh lah kalau Dr. Wira nak bagi saya allowance tambahan. Just kidding.
Lillahi ta'ala, Prof.
Yes, please, Doctor.
Okay, Prof. So I can see how different I am practicing right now based on your question just now, because the one that I'm practicing right now is I just combine all the marks of all the questions and then I just divide according to this practice lah. Okay. And then my second question is that in my kuliah we practice the use of Bloom's taxonomy for creating exam questions level 1 until to 6. And then I was told that when we are creating the questions, we have to also base on our CLOs. If the CLO only states knowledge and understanding, then we cannot go beyond level 1 and level 2. If we create questions level 3, 4, 5, 6, that would be unfair for the students.
Exactly.
So is that correct? Prof.
I agree with the second point that it must be aligned to the course learning outcome. Itu yang performance standard tu. Kalau dalam learning outcome punya performance just about recall, understanding, then stick to low order thinking question. Why should you ask something that you don't plan for student to master? Kalau kita tanya analysis ke apa, we didn't plan student to analyze that particular topic, contents of that particular topic. That will not be fair lah. So yes. And the point that the point you raised that there's rules supaya semua learning outcomes to be tested, again, is very much depending upon the performance standard in your learning outcome, in your CRO. Ya, sama macam yang tadi juga lah. Tengok betul-betul, that's what I mean. We have to really understand our CRO. What level of mastery is called for, the demand evidence of mastery. I think we shouldn't be too obsessed with sebab nak use nak create items for every bukan kerja kita sebagai lecturer lah tu, that's too much. Itu kerja yang lembaga perpesaan buat throughout the year, creating items, testing different levels of Bloom taxonomy. Bukan itu saja, dia tambah lagi. Untuk setiap level, ada 3 level of difficulty pula. Performance level, katakanlah understand, ataupun application, that's the performance level according to Bloom. Within that, they have to find items that which are certain number of items which are easy, moderate, and difficult. That's not, kalau nak ikut betul-betul Bloom, itulah caranya yang lembaga buat. But we are not doing what they are doing. We are doing classroom assessment. Take note of that. We are dealing with classroom assessment, not nationwide standard assessment or standard testing. There's a big difference. We are testing students according to our learning outcomes, not to the general proficiency in the content knowledge macam budak SPM, not that.
I see. Thank you, Prof. Because I heard that one as well from Arwah Haji Nazri. So he also mentioned that level 1 can also be easy, can also medium, can also be difficult. And kadang-kadang tu pening jugalah nak buat soalan.
Dah tentukan tu, even yang lembaga buat, orang lembaga, timbalan pengarah lembaga yang bahagian analisis ni pun share dah. Actually dia orang pun terkial-kial juga. When you do something, you kata benda ni senang. That's you. How about the student dekat jerantuk tadi tu? We don't know. The fact is we don't know. Kalau nak tentukan masa kita plan benda yang kita tak tahu, just like we are not planning lah. But at our level, I think we shouldn't go too detailed into the Bloom's taxonomy. Even MQA pun, I've read it. I was very happy bila saya baca tu dalam MQA punya statement. It's good to have 2 levels only. Low order thinking, high order thinking. Low order thinking, the first 2 levels of Bloom, the rest high order thinking. That's my understanding of MQA punya requirement. Cuba check, saya rasa memang ada. I've read that in one of the documents given by, I think Dr. Wira gave it to me. Or was it Prof. Mira? I can't remember.
Okay, Prof, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Boleh tak one more question, Prof, from the chat?
Dr. Izzuddin, are you from Kuantan or Pagoh?
Kuantan.
Okay. Kita mungkinlah boleh awal-awal nanti ambil you to help our colleagues in ini confidential. Hanya kita berdua saya tahu, orang lain tak dengar pun. Our colleagues in unit SAS, they need to be trained. And people dari Gombak ni semua seangkatan dengan saya. Saya yang paling muda untuk pergi ke Kuantan tu dah tak larat. So the unit SAS, they need their lecturers to be trained in this. So nampak gayanya saya nampak tangan Dr. Izzuddin masih terangkat lagi. InsyaAllah.
InsyaAllah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
InsyaAllah. So one more question, Prof, from the chat box. Is there a rule of thumb for lot on and hot allocation for easy, medium question? I think this has been answered.
Rule of thumb untuk apa ni, untuk walaupun saya tak encourage, tapi there's rule of thumb lah kalau dalam satu nationwide high stake. Katalah you are teaching a course that cover many sections, macam ICT punya course, saya dengar ada sampai 1000 student taking the basic ICT course. So they give test, tak larat nak bagi assignment sangat. The rule of thumb is that most of the items that you have in your in your test should be of moderate difficulty, with difficulty index dia range between 0.4 to 0.8. Moderate, most of the item. Less than 20%, okay, less than 20% for difficult item, and less than 20% juga easy item. Jadi maknanya kita kena tahu dulu dia punya index difficulty tu before we decide this is easy item, difficult item. Maknanya we need to create a bank of items with evidence of from previous punya testing that this test easy item or moderate or difficult item. I think this one will be discussed later. I think it's not covered in this course. It's not covered in this course about the analysis, item analysis. Ada ke Dr. Wira? I cannot remember. I don't think we have that in any of the 5 We can decide. Tapi mesti ada data lah. Maknanya test tu kena bagi dulu dan tengok tiap-tiap item punya difficulty level. Then boleh decide item ni moderate difficulty, simpan dalam bank, lain kali boleh recycle. Jumpa pula satu item lagi too easy, no use, take it out or modify and test it again before we masukkan dalam item bank, or too difficult. So kalau nak go to that extent, we need to have item bank.
Assalamualaikum, Prof. Can I ask? I think because you just mentioned the word item bank, can I ask for your maybe just opinion lah kot? Is it like relevant for like each faculty, kuliah or department? They have like, because now it's like Internet of Things. Is it possible like we create some kind of like database or access where there's a item bank for each, like, you know, for each course dia ada apa dia punya type of questions that we can, so the new lecturers sometimes every semester lecturer boleh berubah-ubah depending on what happens from the next sem. So then there's the lecturers themselves, for them to create, ini midterm for the semester, they can like back into the bank, item bank, so that they can have as a reference for them to.
Yeah, I think it's a good practice. We did that years ago. I don't know whether Kuliah of Education is still practicing that. And we were having big fight with library. Library not the whole set of test paper to be given a copy. They need a copy of, and we did not allow that. We just give sample of the items. But item bank ni, especially kalau item kita tu testing for higher order thinking, shouldn't be put in public for public consumption. Should be in a bank where benda tu selamat, and it can have two things: the objective test, objective item, as well as the essay type item. Kalau objective items tu, we should include the difficulty level based on the data yang kita dah test that item. So every item tu mesti ada dia punya what should I say, information about every item yang kita masukkan dalam bank. Kalau item essay pula, dia punya scoring rubric. Selain pada item tu sendiri, tapi dia punya scoring scheme mesti ada. It's a good practice, right? Especially kalau cost yang kita nak create dia punya item bank tu cover all section for a particular learning year. Kalau ada basic courses yang semua student kena ikut, I think it's a good practice to have item bank. Ada lagi ke yang saya tak jawab tadi, Doktor?
Dah habis dah, Prof.
Dah habis masa. Okay, dah expired. So, saya mohon maaf kalau terlampau banyak bercakap. Alhamdulillah, saya rasa there's nothing new actually yang hari ni, cuma the approach of presenting the ideas a bit different from yang lepas-lepas. So, I hope Allah izinkan apa yang kita dengar hari ni to be useful to our work. Kita boleh gunakan insyaAllah. Keep us safe and keep healthy insyaAllah.
InsyaAllah. Okay, thank you so very much to our speaker, Professor Sahari. So I also would like to thank all the participants for your active participation. So it seems that everyone is very eager to learn. Assessment is very interesting. Please come to the next series. We have 2, 3, 4, 5 series coming in May and June. Please join us, and you may also do the assessment and whatnot to get the competency certificate from IMET. If you only come here and do not do the assessment, you can still get the certificate of attendance from CPD. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you very much, Prof, for your time. I know you're very busy. Tomorrow, so you have another commitment.
Just that I'm pretending to be busy, so.
Okay, so I think we can end the session with Tasbih Kafarah wa Suratul As. Maybe a quick group photo. Everyone can. We turn on our camera for a quick group photo. Boleh ambil tak, Nura? Okay. Sekejap Okay, ready ya?
Oh, Prof Saimi ada lagi. Prof Saimi, you're torturing yourself, Prof Saimi.
Prof Sahari tak nampak muka lah, gelap je.
Gelap.
Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Belakang tu benda-benda yang tak patut orang lain tengok tu. Okay.
Okay, jap. 1, 2, 3. Lagi satu muka. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Bye. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, Prof.
Yes, Waalaikumsalam. Prof. Thanks CPD for organizing such a good program.
Thank you, Prof. Assalamualaikum.
Warahmatullahi. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Take care. Assalamualaikum.